I would like to draw your attention to and bring together three separate news stories that so perfectly illustrate the compounding harm that the Trump regime is doing to Middle America, and it's only going to get worse. The first piece is from ABC7 Chicago. It is from May 21st, and it's entitled, "More Tornadoes, Fewer Meteorologists Make for Dangerous Mix That is Worrying U.S. Officials." As nasty tornadoes popped up from Kansas to Kentucky last week, the National Weather Service, depleted by DOGE cuts, scrambled. The article explains how many National Weather Service offices, including the one in Jackson, Kentucky, started shortening their hours and closing overnight, specifically because of deep and likely illegal budget cuts that Elon Musk made. 2024 was the second busiest tornado year ever on record. And guess what? The United States is on track to see more tornadoes this year than last. Weather Service veterans have expressed concern about the agency's ability to keep up with weather forecasting for tornadoes in places like Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas in the face of all of DOGE's cuts. An official from the Oklahoma NWS office said that people are coming in and making sure that their duties are covered, even though there's not money to pay for them. He says, "I hope we're not in the same staffing situation long term. It would be hard to sustain this for months or years." Another official said that because of staffing cuts, they're asking people to work 80 or 120 hours a week during tornado season, because all of their coworkers have been illegally fired. And they said they may be so bleary-eyed that they can't identify what's going on the radar. Why are we doing this? How is this making America greater? How is this making our government more efficient? There's simply not enough people to handle everything, University of Oklahoma meteorology professor Howard Bluestein said. Across Middle America, they're seeing weather stations that have a 20, 25%, 32% vacancy rate. Another meteorologist said, when you have this kind of a threat, meaning the greatest predicted tornado season in U.S. history, and you are understaffed, at some point, something's going to slip through the cracks. I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but it is. So let me tie that into a piece from the Oklahoman dated May 19th. Potential weather service cuts have at least one Oklahoma lawmaker feeling sick. Let's keep in mind, Oklahoma is a state where they are trying out all of the Christo-fascism. That is a state that went strongly for Trump. Oklahoma is a pretty frightening place right now. It's not a safe place for a lot of people, and what's happening down there culturally and politically is pretty devastating. It's very much the center of Project 2025, trying to enact all kinds of awful shit and switch Oklahoma to a Christo-fascist state. They're testing out a lot of things in Oklahoma that they want to do all across the country. A lot of people down there are fully entrenched in the cult of MAGA. And yet they sit right in the middle of Tornado Alley. Republican Frank Lewis was not familiar with the proposed cuts that the Trump administration wants to ram through for NOAA. When he found out about him, he said, "The very discussion about reducing our investments in our scientific research and our weather forecasting causes me to have stomach cramps." That's because Oklahoma sits at the heart of Tornado Alley. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to slash the NOAA budget by $1.3 billion. Republican Representative Lucas said, "We should not step back from progress we've made in weather forecasting." I just posted a video a little bit ago where I said that the Trump regime is trying to regress America. This is not about making America great again. Everything they're doing is a step back from progress. It's active regression, especially when it comes to science and medicine, but also socially, culturally. Keep in mind, these additional $1.3 billion in cuts would be on top of all of the weather forecasters, NOAA employees that Elon Musk already fired. It's not just Oklahoma. Lawmakers from Louisiana, in the nation's most hurricane-prone region, said that they are also really worried about it. Republican Representative Clay Higgins said that he was prepared to protect NOAA's core purpose. These folks still vote in line with Trump's agenda, though. 5 former leaders of the National Weather Service submitted a public letter on May 2nd where they said, "Our worst nightmare is the weather offices will be so understaffed that there will be needless loss of life." So we're watching an active reduction in our capability as a country to predict the weather, especially adverse weather events like tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding. But also, let's remember that the Weather Service predicts things like the risk of lightning and wind, which are significantly important when it comes to predicting wildfires as well. They've also done things like fire seismologists and volcanologists. And as somebody who lives on the Cascadia subduction zone, that's something that I worry about as well, right? We're talking all of these potential natural disasters. They are cutting jobs and they are slashing departments that provide necessary services for the American people. These are things that Republicans and Democrats both want, acknowledge that these are necessary services. This is a necessary function of the government. And yet, Republicans are still voting in line to slash all of this stuff. They're still like, okay, Trump, we're going to say that we don't like this because we know that it's really bad for the constituents of our state. We know that it's going to cost lives. We know that it's economically devastating, but we're still not willing to stand up to you. So ahead of these events, we have less forecasting capability, less warning for people, which will convert into more loss of life. And the Trump regime, they seem okay with that. Then after these disasters inevitably strike, guess what? Trump has said, and I've covered this multiple times already, he wants to do away with FEMA. He thinks it doesn't really matter. It's not important. He denied FEMA funding to people after the LA fires. He denied FEMA funding to Arkansas, North Carolina, Kentucky after flooding and storms there. Trump is refusing to send out FEMA in the wake of multiple natural disasters to areas that are largely full of people who voted for him, because he doesn't care about y'all. He doesn't care about your lives at all. He is absolutely on purpose withholding funds that Congress has said should be given to people who are trying to recover from natural disasters, given to communities that are trying to rebuild. Temporary housing, loans to rebuild homes and businesses, emergency aid. Trump is like, nope, good luck, y'all. Good luck with that. Have fun taking care of yourselves. I know you paid taxes expecting programs like FEMA to help you out, because again, that's what taxes should go toward. They shouldn't go to these giant tax breaks for the super wealthy. That is what Trump is wanting to fund. Our taxes should be funding necessary services that keep us safe, protect our quality of life, help us recover after difficult events like natural disasters. But Trump wants to take your tax money and spend it on tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars of golf trips, and give a giant tax break to all of his super rich buddies. He doesn't want you to have basic emergency relief. He wants to go golfing. He doesn't want search and rescue after disasters. He doesn't want emergency aid, housing, food. He doesn't want to help communities rebuild after major storms. He wants to give all his rich buddies a big tax break. And you are on your own. On May 20th, USA Today reported that the mayor of St. Louis is complaining that FEMA isn't on the ground after their major tornado there. St. Louis's mayor is petitioning donations from the public, saying FEMA isn't helping after the tornado struck their city, causing historic damage. St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer says that FEMA still has no presence on the ground several days after a mile-wide tornado cut a nearly 23-mile path through the St. Louis area, damaging 5,000 buildings. 5 people died and dozens were injured. On the local level, every organization, community member, elected official has been on point. What we need right now is federal assistance, the mayor said. This is what the federal government is for. Damage is estimated at $1 billion. It's important to know that FEMA doesn't automatically roll out. It's something where the governor of a state has to request it, and then the federal government steps in. Mike Kehoe, the Republican governor, did ask President Trump to issue a federal emergency declaration and provide FEMA funding. Late last week, Senator Josh Hawley was pushing Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, to get a request for storm aid and other disaster declaration requests in front of Trump as soon as possible. They're desperate for assistance in Missouri, Josh Hawley said. Missouri is still waiting for a response from Trump to its requests for federal disaster declarations for storms March 14th, March 15th, March 30th, April 8th, and April 29th. Keep in mind the Trump regime has gotten rid of a third of FEMA's 6,000-person workforce, and they hope to slash more money from the program. And Trump is not giving out funds that have already been allocated for Congress. He's not doing these disaster declarations. He's not providing the funds that he should be. He does not care about regular American citizens who are suffering in the wake of natural disasters. He doesn't care about Republican states that voted for him. Josh Hawley is a staunch conservative and Trump supporter. He doesn't care. Just like Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee is a staunch Trump supporter. She used to be his press secretary, but he didn't provide FEMA relief for her state either when she requested it. What is it that we want the federal government to do? What is the job of the federal government? What kind of services should it be providing for the people? Is this what y'all voted for? Is this the government efficiency that you were wanting? Is this making America great again? Is this the prosperity that you thought Donald Trump was going to bring to y'all? He is slashing and gutting all of the programs we care about and need. It's not just one thing here and one thing here. It is compounding the suffering. He's actively wrecking all of the things we care about and the programs we need.